I also have my colleague Anisha, who's been tracking all the court cases here. Anisha, spectacular, right? That it's playing according to a script over here. And the script has been written by Samarth and his family and his lawyers. They said we are going to do this. Police has been looking for them. There is media trial. People are asking questions. But things are happening exactly how Samarth planned. He's come and surrendered the way he wanted.
Well, clearly, Sonal, we are looking at what finally Samarth surrendering before the court. Remember, just 2 hours ago, this argument was being put before the Madhya Pradesh High Court by his lawyers that he should be allowed to surrender and he should be allowed to file a regular bail plea immediately. Interestingly, what I can tell you, Sonal, is that when he said that he should be allowed to file a regular bail plea and the regular bail plea should also be heard immediately, that saw an immediate pushback from the prosecution, from the police, the Solicitor General clearly saying that the luxury of such urgent hearing should not be given to somebody who is an accused in a case, I beg your pardon, in a case like this. Clearly, however, the court said, well, the procedure is there. When he goes to the court, he can file whatever plea he wants. The police, of course, also gets the right to seek remand, to seek custody. And the police has made this very clear. They will take him for custodial interrogation.
They have 24 hours?
No, that would have been if he had surrendered before the police. If you surrender before the police, then the police has to produce you before a court for within 24 hours. If you surrender before the court then issues notice to the police, asks them, well, what do you want now? The police then says, well, we want him for police custody remand, for custodial interrogation for ABC number of days, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever days. They can take him for up to 14 days. So we'll now see how this is going to play out before the trial court as Samarth has surrendered. But remember, the drama that we saw in the High Court today from Samarth's lawyer, I'm quoting him here, the entire argument was in Hindi. So he said, हमारे घर की बहू थी, हमारा धर्म है उसका क्रियाकर्म करने का, मुझे बेल चाहिए, मैं रेगुलर बेल के लिए अप्लाई करूंगा क्योंकि मुझे उसके क्रियाकर्म की तैयारी करनी है. That was the argument he made.
तो 10 दिन से क्या कर रहे थे?
And he has sought that her body, which has been at the AIIMS morgue, should be released to him because he is the husband. That is the kind of argument we are seeing here. हमारे घर की बहू थी, मेरा धर्म है कि उसका क्रियाकर्म मैं करूं. So after the kind of case that has happened here, it's a dowry death case. This woman, within just a few months of her marriage, has died in a very suspicious manner. The second post-mortem has finally been ordered by the High Court after her.
We don't know how successful that's going to be because the body has been in that state. AIIMS and police themselves had given an order just a couple of days ago to actually say that they do not know if the body is fit enough for a second autopsy. And so now they're saying that the AIIMS, doctors from Delhi AIIMS will go and make that happen. But what a joke! I'm trying to think of another word, but what a joke!
The irony of this entire outrage that we are seeing right now, Sonal, is that this is not an isolated case.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, Samarth's lawyer also said the same thing कि हजारों डाउरी डेथ के केस होते हैं, हजारों केसेस में इस तरह से डेथ होती है, आप मुझे ही क्यों टारगेट कर रहे हैं इस तरह से, simply because there was media outrage. Now that is what shows the apathy of the system. For 10 days, if the AIIMS in Bhopal is saying that we do not have the infrastructure to preserve the body. The High Court is questioning कि हमने तो न्यूज़ में पढ़ा था कि बॉडी को रखने के लिए प्रॉपर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, आप उसको दिल्ली लेकर कैसे जाएंगे? इससे अच्छा तो ये है कि आप उसको ढंग से प्रिजर्व कीजिए और दिल्ली से you bring in the doctors team from Delhi to conduct the second postmortem. The Solicitor General also made a very interesting argument that we don't object to the second postmortem, but for us, the findings of the first postmortem are enough to be actionable. What was the finding in the first postmortem? That this is suicide. The first postmortem did not go into the details of the injuries that were found on her body.
Yeah, injuries that the parents have spoken about, it did not have the belt that was mentioned
was
and given
well-
as evidence. It does not keep into account, okay, because all of us have now seen the CCTV footage of how she was brought in, things that were happening in the house. There's another CCTV footage, I'm told, that we are trying to verify. That we are trying to verify to see if that was also done. That's just about a few hours before Twisha died. So much is happening in this case, but I have a couple of questions. A lot of focus is on the husband, and should be. Why, if he's so worried about, cremating his wife's body, why is he on the run? He should be home to actually lead it. Why did his mother-in-law, Twisha's mother-in-law, ask for anticipatory bail? I want to go to the anticipatory bail for a minute. Is it usual that people just apply for it and get it in one day?
No. Anticipatory bail in a dowry death case is usually takes some time. You take some time to think about it. You listen to what the police has to say, and then you give it. In this case, and that has been flagged by the government in their appeal, it's been flagged by the family, by Twisha's family in their appeal against the anticipatory bail, that this matter was heard and decided on the same day that it was filed. And that is why they are claiming here that the mother-in-law, who's a retired judicial officer, in fact, used her influence to get this anticipatory bail. And that is why the High Court has also agreed to hear this matter on Monday.